forgot to add myself to the stream. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I know that... Oh, Lexi Max is still in chat. I know that Lords of the Night had its penultimate show tonight, and tomorrow is going to be their final Lords of the Night stream before... Yeah, tomorrow is going to be their final show. It has been a glorious experience. I'm not gonna dwell on that at all tonight because we're gonna be taking a look at some cringe. It's better, yeah, and because if I talk about Lords of the Night too much, that's all I'm gonna talk about. And my purpose for tonight is to continue streaming the video from Actual Jake on Undoomed. Or, yeah, Actual Jake streaming his ad hominems to Undoomed. Now, I think I said I left off on 3651. 3651. Yeah, it was 3651 because he mentioned the word privilege. Yeah, I'll just put it back 10 seconds. Screen share, share audio. Oh, and I should probably put the original in the chat. So Actual Jake's video will be in chat now. So, yeah, now. Screen share, share audio. Make sure to press share audio. Alright. So, here we go.
And you don't get to do that without getting your driver's license. In other words, you've earned the right to drive.
These are not the same types of privileges that we're talking about, bro. This is
Immediately I noticed a contradiction when he said this. No, that's a privilege we're talking about. So I don't know. I want to say Undoomed's intention, just like Scribelights, was that just mocking the word privilege, how you could say you have a privilege of anything, and it'll be accurate, it'll apply to whatever you have. So Actual Jake is a hypocrite because he's saying these are not the same types of privileges. Earlier in the stream that we took at last night, he said something like, oh yeah, he said that because Rodney King, the Vietnam War, and 9/11 happened, kids should be learning about CRT. Because those were serious things, I guess. And CRT is also, I guess, a serious subject. How he contradicted the whole, or he tried to keywords. Actual Jake tried to and failed, which his audience doesn't, or is neglectful of. Actual Jake failed in the comparisons of, or when he was trying to debunk the let kids be kids by saying 9/11 though, Rodney King though, Vietnam War though. Because he said that was serious, and those aren't the same as critical race theory or what critical race theory is, which Actual Jake continues to fail to describe. Because he says critical race theory and anti-racism is just to not be racist, which I was neglectful of this on last week's stream too. Scribe Light, he brought up the Ibram X. Kendi, how he is the spokesperson, for lack of a better term, of anti-racism. And yeah, I didn't mention Ibram X. Kendi at all last week. Whatever his name is, however you say his name. I'm just laughing because I immediately noticed a contradiction from playing the part. Like, I said that we stopped at 36:51, we're now at 36:52. And I already picked up on something.
This is why I don't think the word privilege was a very good way to go about that. From, like,
Then what word would you use?
Privilege and toxic masculinity
What about those two?
have led to so many conversations about semantics, it's ridiculous.
Because neither of those two words, or neither of those two terms, have any good faith behind them to begin with.
Those two things alone just fucking... dude, white chuds cannot fucking
White
deal with
chuds, oh my god, he's making it about race already. I'm not surprised. Because before he just said conservative chuds, or that conservatives are chuds. Now he's saying white chuds. I'm surprised he didn't say male chuds. White male, straight, cis white male. You know, the people who are at the highest on the oppression scale or the privilege scale.
those two terms. They lose their fucking minds. Whoa.
You just lost your mind by saying white chuds.
What? Toxic masculinity? What's toxic about me being masculine?
Well, they're not wrong. They're not wrong, because that's what feminists are saying, is that masculinity is somehow inherently toxic. Well, they don't say it exactly. They find different ways to say something similar.
Shut up. You're a fucking loser. It's just
Ad hominem.
It's just a topic. Try to have the fucking discussion without being so insecure.
You mean like how you changed the argument on what critical race theory and anti-racism are? Like how you had to say 9/11 though? Hi Zalbla. How you had to say 9/11 though? Vietnam War though? And Rodney King though? To defend critical race theory? Now, how did I describe it again?
It's about me being masculine. Shut up. You're a fucking loser. It's just a topic. Try to have the fucking discussion without being so insecure.
Oh yeah, that's what he said, that you're too insecure to have a discussion on critical race theory or privilege and toxic masculinity, coming from the guy who had to use false analogy or false equivalencies of 9/11. That was my whole point. That he is insecure that he had to bring those up to defend critical race theory.
They're literally just little babies. Every time.
Ad hominem.
They really do, but that's different. Because I don't think land back is a bad thing to call it. Like, as far as like a marketing idea. Stellar Vision, thanks so much for the raid, man.
Marketing an idea, because buzz phrases sell. Buzz phrases are what people pay attention to.
Not they're unable to handle any terms. They're stupid.
And I guess he's gonna write a donation.
I mean, you can't handle these terms. Like, how about just trying this on for size, Undoomed? How about trying this on?
He says they can't take the terms, yet you can't take the reality of what critical race theory is. That you have to change what it is, change the purpose of it.
Ready?
What's Undoomed?
Try to listen to somebody else without getting defensive.
Look at that smug face. Oh, you got defensive. You got defensive earlier, Jake, because you said learning about critical race theory is just like learning about Vietnam War, 9/11, and Rodney King. The more I listen to this chud try to argue against Undoomed, it's basically like talking to a mirror. a highly self-unaware mirror. And I'm trying really hard not to attack him. I'm trying to attack his arguments. Though that becomes hard when he thinks everything he says is right and is so smug about it. Like, oh, I can just change arguments and I can jump around every single thing and then accuse you of doing something that I'm doing, knowing my audience won't pick up on it, then act all smug about it.
How about that? You ever consider just listening to somebody else's opinion without feeling like
You're not listening to his opinion. You're not listening to him because you keep changing the definition of critical race theory and changing what it means, the purpose of it, and you have to. This video is almost 2 hours. How do I know that in this 100-minute live stream you're not getting defensive about anything?
it's an attack on your insecure self-worth?
Ad hominem.
Starlin, thanks so much for the 2 months.
And now he's gonna read it to me.
Rich. Hell yeah. Good for you.
Like when your classmate is always chosen to be team captain just because their mom is the coach.
That would be nepotism, you dumb fuck.
Why is he so aggressive?
You're so aggressive, and I didn't mean to do that. I hate when YouTube does that. Right, here it is. Why is he so aggressive? I probably shouldn't. Oh, nothing screen sharing, that's good. So yeah, that was another ad hominem saying he's aggressive. All because he said all because Undoomed said swear words, I guess. Which, if that is the case, and I hope I'm not strawmanning, that makes Actual Jake a lot more of a hypocrite, because Actual Jake, how many times has he said or how many times has he swore throughout this stream? I could just look it up actually. The F word. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. He said the S word 6 times. He said the A word, dumb A word, twice. 3. 4. That's the 4th time he said the A word. Yeah. He said dumb A word 3 times. He said the S word 6 times. So who's really being aggressive? Jake.
Aggressive? You dumb fuck. He is so threatened by her.
Or when you're racing a friend.
So it was because he swore. That was the reason he's accusing Jake of being aggressive. Even though I already said Actual Jake said the S word 4 or 6 times, and he called Undoomed dumb A word 3 times. I'm being nitpicky. I know I shouldn't be. How can I not be when Actual Jake is? He's basically talking to Actual Jake is like talking to a wall, and Actual Jake talking to Undoomed is basically Actual Jake talking to a mirror.
but they get a head start.
And that will be cheating.
It's not cheating. Okay, if it's cheating, then we literally are cheating at life. Because we have a step forward from somebody who experiences racism or sexism.
And according to you, only black women could experience such a thing, right?
Be about their inherent being, right? Any sort of isms, any sort of...
The mannequin on this chat says, at actual Jake. I don't think he thinks he's being defensive. I think he thinks he's just right. That perfectly describes actual Jake.
Negative experiences they get due to their inherent existence. We do not.
GJMAI content spelled with a K, but it's good to ignore the privilege of driving in a nice looking car in my hometown.
Face as straight white cis men. We just don't. I don't experience. The most I experience from my inherentness is my body shape. And really, like, I've been fit before, I've been unfit before. We're working back towards fit now that my back is healed. And I don't know, dude. Maybe it'll work out. I hope so. Well, who fucking knows? Like, fucking.
Hey, you just said the F word twice. Isn't that being aggressive, Jake?
Yesterday, I took a day off, but like, we just don't face that. We just don't. No one's ever yelled at me for being gay or being trans or being non-white or anything like that. I've never had any sort of setback due to my inherent existence, ever. But it happens all the time with people. In fact, I recall specifically...
It happens to people in your demographics, too.
I worked at a restaurant for a little bit, and my...
Now he's gonna get the personal
the owner was trying to hire people, and she very blatantly said that I don't hire people with... She used the word complex. She meant black. Sounding...
I'm not believing this happened at all. You're making this up. You are completely making this up.
Complex sounding names. I want customers to be able to read the names.
By the way, white people have complex sounding names too.
Name tags is what she said. And so she didn't hire black people because...
No, you're making it about race. You're making it about race just so you could say, this is why CRT should be taught, because critical race theory is just teaching that you shouldn't be racist, even though that's not what it is.
My space, which is Saginaw, Michigan. You can look it up. The demographics are mostly black people. And if you know anything about black...
Hang on. Millennial Matt says, yes, the white people... Dog is in the way because he has these filters because it's Twitch, I guess. The white people of this country cheated. They rigged the game so they could come out on top. If you're talking about historically, are they doing that now? Zero CK Amino says, okay, fine, Undoomed. We'll call it white cheating. Is that better? No, because you're making it about race.
About black culture, you know, that then they don't name their kids all the time Jake. You know what I mean? Not white sounding names, because guess what? They're not fucking white. And there is a cultural history there.
So you're saying that names
part of the community.
should
Anyway,
be
she's hiring black
exclusive?
people, dude. Yeah, and she said it was fucking. She said it was like complex. Shut up. And by the way,
no,
her
you're making this up. I'm willing to bet that if I walked to that exact store, I would see a black person working there.
husband's name was Ali, and he was from fucking Pakistan. I have no idea.
Then what's the point of mentioning this story? Is Ollie a complexing name, Jake? Or do you know how to spell it? Do you know how it's spelled? And are you gonna not say that there are different ways to spell Ollie?
And he was racist, but I don't understand where they fucking get off, man. I don't understand that shit. She's dead now. It's fine. She died.
You have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
So then, what is white privilege?
What was the reason again? I've forgotten.
Yeah, this is gonna amount to original sin, isn't it?
White privilege is when people who are white have additional benefits, advantages, and fewer barriers to overcome than people of color.
That's true.
That's not true.
Are you going to give any examples?
I will. Do you want me to give some examples?
These
Not if they're fake like you just made. like the one you just made up.
Privileges?
I'm sorry, I must have missed an episode.
People of color are folks with black or brown skin
She spelled
or
folks with an X.
a specific race or ethnicity.
Okay, what about Rachel Dolezal or Sean King? You don't want to think about Sean King, do you?
Sean King has me blocked, but I don't know why. I don't interact with Sean King. But I hear he's not very cool. Is Sean King not cool? Was he sort
I'm
of a
surprised
scammer? I don't know.
Jake isn't a
Rachel
fan of Sean
Dolezal
King.
also is white. So that's it. I don't. Why? I don't really understand the mention of either of those two.
That doesn't mean that if you're white, you aren't talented or smart or your life is easy.
That is what she's trying to
come
say,
now. That's exactly what you mean, isn't it?
Literally said the opposite, and he goes, "No, you don't."
Well, because and now he's talking to him like he's a kid, or he's mocking him like he's a kid. Even though Jake's argument was a kid, or was like what a kid would do. Another point of hypocrisy. So, Jake makes up a story, an exaggerated story of, oh, this one lady won't hire black people just so that he could prove a point that's based on a different, or that's already based on another lie to begin. We're saying that, see, critical race theory is just teaching not to be racist. Oh, and the amount of times he was smug, I think it was smug 2 or 3 times in the stream. So that makes you even more hypocritical to mock Undoomed like he's a child.
Nah, you're really just being mean to me. Shut up, pussy.
So aggressive. Jesus Christ, this dude is a hypocrite. So Undoomed can't say the F word, yet you could call him the P word. And you called him that earlier in the stream too. I should mark that down in case I want to clip this guy being a hypocrite. 4226.
It means that you have extra privileges just because of the color of your skin.
Therefore saying that life is
No, I
easier.
really don't.
Okay, let's hear what these egregious privileges really are.
They're not egregious. Bro, you're so sensitive.
Says the one who just called him the P word and is still throwing ad hominem after ad hominem, more than actually attacking any of his arguments. How's that for sensitive?
You're so fucking sensitive.
And now you're trying to copy Destiny by yelling instead of making, you're basically trying to yell to declare yourself you're the winner. And you say Undoomed is childish. Wow. Jesus Christ. QZXLY says, this dude is expecting so much from a children's book. Because this book isn't really for children, it's trying to target to grown-ups so that they could read it to their children to indoctrinate them. I'm trans and before transition while in high school. I tried getting a job and couldn't get the one I wanted because they only hired males to the back and females to the front.
Are you kidding me? It means that, like, if we have, like, a white-sounding name, people will be more likely to fucking hire us for jobs, which under...
Are you sure about that? You're fine, Keeve. It's okay. Nobody's even watching me. So, yeah, his claim is that people get hired just for having white-sounding names, or people are more likely to get hired if they have white-sounding names. Have you seen the amount of diversity that companies and corporations are trying to push? I mean, you're a leftist, a self-proclaimed leftist, which I would have figured that out anyway if you didn't say you were. That's the whole point, is that people are Zabla... I don't even know if she's still listening. You're fine, Keith. You're just fine.
Capitalism is a big fucking deal. Things like just
Hang
not.
on.
It means that like if we have like a white-sounding
Like,
name,
like.
people will be more likely to fucking hire us for jobs, which under capitalism is a big fucking deal.
Hey, you just said the F word. Aren't you being aggressive, Jake?
Things like just not looking at us and inherently seeing us as a threat to your physical harm. That is a thing.
Diversity quotas have been put in place so that minorities are more likely to get a job than white people. So that Undoomed still living in 2016. Our actual Jake is still living in the 80s. DJ Malcontent says, did you really just use a variant of the I got a black friend arguments? I hope DJ Malcontent isn't one of those people who says, you're still living in 2016, because that I got a black, or pointing out if someone says, I have a black friend, is basically from the 90s.
Thing. That is a real phenomenon that happens.
Happened.
You can read.
I'm willing to bet it happened in the past. Or, yeah, I'm willing to believe it happened in the past. Again, I have to ask, have you seen the amount of diversity quotas that are being pushed by companies and corporations under capitalism, the economic system you despise?
Read many sociology papers on the subject. You know, a science. You can also, like,
It's a social science. Does that really count as a science, or are you just saying that because it feeds into your narratives?
like being cis, for instance. I mean, I guess we're talking about white. Let's talk about white privilege. Let's just talk about white privilege. White privilege. I have the benefit
White privilege. A benefit of what?
of, and this is probably the biggest one. I have the benefit of familial wealth, like generational wealth. Now, we're not like wealth.
Do you know how many white people grew up poor? Wealth doesn't discriminate. People can get rich, regardless of their race, in America under capitalism. Again, the economic system you despise. Generational wealth. A lot of white people grew up poor. A lot of white people have been homeless or are currently homeless.
Wealthy. I just mean like my family has never been in a position at any point in the history of the United States where they were barred from getting a home loan or being able to buy land or own it or being able to marry.
And you're using a personal anecdote.
Or being able to, have the kind of property that you need.
Hang on. You criticize Undoomed for mocking him like he was a child. The only anecdotes you gave were personal ones, and you're using them specifically to prove a point. To say, oh, well, these things happen to me, therefore, that's how the system works.
In a generational wealth style system like American capitalism. Black people, only until like the civil rights movement and stuff, and a little bit before that, were able to get like home loans. Like there was a point in time where black people couldn't marry white people. There was a point in time where black people couldn't own property. And women
and America has progressed past that.
Like what? Like there's so many systems.
America has progressed past that, and you're using these historical. Black people couldn't own or couldn't marry white people. Women couldn't own property. You're using these previous things and applying them to today, yet you're criticizing Undoomed for still living in 2016. Hi, Spudgun. Oh. So, Keeve has been listening this whole time, and now Spudgun's listening, yet I'm being told that I have 0 views on this live stream. And I know that Minions of the Zoo is currently going on. I just thought Inquisitor would have been hosting tonight, because that's what he usually hosts on Mondays. So for those who are just coming in, I'm gonna try to see if I could pinpoint the clip. of
You can look it up. The
when
demographics
he
are
calls
mostly white
Undoomed
people.
aggressive.
And if you
Oh,
know
yeah.
anything about
It's right
like it's-
here.
Your classmate is always chosen to be team captain just because their mom is the coach.
I'm sure it's
That would be nepotism, you dumb fuck.
Why is he so aggressive? You dumb fuck. He is.
Yeah, I wanted to show you guys, for those just coming in, that specific clip. Because later on, or not even 5 minutes later, Jake yells at Undoomed. 5 minutes after, or not even 5 minutes after, he calls him aggressive.
Just being mean to me. Shut up, pussy.
And he called him that. He called him the P word. Not even 5 minutes after accusing Undoomed of being aggressive. Now, when does he yell again?
Like, if we this, bro, you're so sensitive.
That's
You're so fucking sensitive.
When you're racing a friend, but they
just
get
take a
head
look
start.
at the contrast of
That
these
would
two
be
clips.
cheating.
It's not cheating. Okay,
Oh,
if
wait,
it's cheating,
wait.
you dumb fuck. He is.
There it is.
Just because their mom is the coach.
That would be nepotism, you dumb fuck.
Why is he so aggressive? Just being mean to me. Shut up.
It's really
Ah,
what you
you know what? Forget it. I'll just continue. Because I could always edit this.
Inherently seeing us as a science of,
Oh, yeah,
and this
so-
is probably the biggest one. People like couldn't own property, and women couldn't own property. Like,
Yeah, I was at
what?
here,
Like, there's so
around
many
here.
systemic issues, and you're like, well, they can. Yeah.
Wait.
White people. There was people only until like the civil rights movement and stuff, and a little bit before that, were able to get like home loans. Like, there was a point in time where black people couldn't marry white people. There was a point in time where black people like couldn't own property, and women couldn't own property. Like, what? Like, there's so many systemic issues, and you're like, well,
Wait, did you catch that? He said black people couldn't marry white people. Black people and women couldn't own property. He said there's as in it's currently happening. Even though all these took place in like the 60s or the 20s. Yet he still criticizes Undoomed for supposedly living in 2016.
can. Yeah. What do you mean, 1968, dude?
Yeah,
My mom was
1968. 1968, not 2021.
10. My mom
Your mom was 10.
was 10 years old when black individuals in America were considered equal under the law.
Not just black people. Here's what you don't know. Actually, I don't even know if this guy claimed to be a historian, so I can't call him that. Pseudo-historian. I can't call him a pseudo-historian or pseudo-scientist. It's not just black people that were seen as equal. It was the Irish, too. The Irish were told they couldn't vote. The Italians. I should get Sanguine on this stream, because Sanguine could tell you all about this. In fact, Sanguine Magavan is the reason I know that the KKK also hated the Irish and Catholics. Well, actually, yeah. I had to credit him for knowing that the KKK also hated the Irish and the Catholics, because I knew that it was a Christian supremacist group. I just didn't know it was a Christian supremacist as it was a white supremacist, or as much as it was a white supremacist group. This guy's trying to make it seem like, oh, it was only black people who were oppressed in history. Yeah, the same people who are trying to stop black people from being seen as equal from getting their rights also stop the Irish from and the Italians from getting their rights. Because there were Italians and Germans who were put in internment camps in the 1940s, as well as Japanese, which is the only demographic you hear about. Yes, please hit like. So was mine. She's English. Who's English? Lexi Mads? Oh, your mother was 10 in 1968. So getting back to the whole, my mother was 10, I hope that he doesn't have any Gen Z in his audience, which, actually, he does. And I said that in the last stream because I was mocking, Gen Z for saying, I used to watch Undoomed, uh, back in 2016, and now I'm a leftist. So, already establishing that he does have Gen Z in his audience, him saying, my mother was 10 in 1968 shouldn't phase them. And I say shouldn't because Gen Z would probably repeat this argument, even though they're the generation that's always saying, I feel so old because my childhood, the childhood movies that I grew up watching are turning 20 this year, and I'm only 22. It's one of the main reasons I hate Gen Z, is because of their annoying nostalgia and from shifting either, or from being either far left or going from conservative to far left. Alright, so Spider-Gun pointed something out. Hang on, this guy just sat in a sunflower outfit, thinks he has the high ground. I wouldn't go on that territory, Spider-Gun. I'm wanting to criticize his... I mean, I've thrown ad hominem, maybe one or two, which I know is shifting the goalpost. It's just... Actually, I think even calling him a hypocrite is ad hominem. It's an ad hominem that leads to criticizing his arguments, because I explain why he's a hypocrite instead of just saying, you mean Democrats? Yes, I do mean Democrats. Oh, my party switch though. You say, yup. Oh, in England, your mother, 1968. Hey, I'm Gen X, you're old. You couldn't be any older than your mother. Alright.
Do you think that maybe my mom benefited from having parents that had full rights?
Again, that's the third or fourth time he did that smug face. And just because your mother was able to benefit from from her parents' wealth, are you doing so? Wait, actually, I think this guy said that he was poor or homeless, which just defeats it even more when he brought up his mother.
And that she had full rights and passed that down to me as well?
Didn't you say you grew up poor?
Imagine if your parents, for the first 10 years of their life, literally did not have equality under the constitutional law that this whole country provides and presides over. There's not generational wealth in much of the black community because of that, which is
This guy sounds aggressive.
why part of redlining, part of I mean there's just so many aspects to this about like housing in general, how it was hard to get home loans. There was places that you couldn't go. White flight is a great example, and they take their money with them, and because there's no generational wealth in the black communities, those places fall apart. Downtown Saginaw right now, if you go there, big part of that is black people moved in, and they're like, oh, that's a bad side of town. Moved out, poverty ensues, and what does poverty breed? Poverty breeds crime, and poverty also breeds other things. Like, it's not like a racial disposition towards crime, dude. You enslaved an entire people.
Who's you? Who's you slaved an entire people? Because notice how he specifically said you. That's how I know he's talking about conservatives and not white people. Because if he said, or if he were to suggest it was white people, he would have said, we enslaved a whole group of people. And as Spudgun just said earlier, that was the Democrats. This guy's stupid, he should just stop. What's wrong with him? God.
Color of their skin didn't provide them generational wealth, and then we talk like it's not like a racial disposition towards crime, dude. You enslaved an entire people based on the color of their skin. Didn't provide. You
enslaved people for the color of their skin, and he's saying, or he's continuing a list.
Them generational
you
wealth.
Didn't provide them generational wealth.
and then we tie fucking
Who's we?
school funding.
Wait, is he now
to
taking responsibility as a white person for what people who weren't even related to him likely did? Or people who likely weren't. And now this one particular Mr. Krabs 678 says 1960s civil right was still going on. So, I hope you're not Gen Z. I hope you haven't called yourself old because you're only 22 and that your childhood movies are 20.
property taxes, of course you're going to fail being able to like provide quality schools if people there not only don't have property to pay taxes on but can't afford to pay the property tax when it comes due. Speaking of which, I gotta do that for my summer property tax. Good reminder of myself. But like there's so many systemic issues just tied to this one issue of just being not
Systemic.
white. Just not being white.
You're talking about historical past, and now this is the second time you did that in under 2 minutes. You're saying a lot of historical things that did happen, that did take place, and now you're trying to suggest that that's what's going on today. Again, from the guy who said that Undoomed is still living in 2016.
That rolls over into future generations. Now, that wealth gap is slimming over time, as they have had constitutional rights since the civil rights movement.
And you're saying they're slimming. How long until, or from your standpoint, as a leftist, when is it going to take to stop? And that is a legitimate question. I'm not trying to. It's not rhetorical, basically. I think that's a 6-0 Camino, and of course all the races just went, oh, we were just so silly with all this racism, we'll stop now and let you be. After the Civil Rights Act, no, wait, that didn't happen. What are you trying to prove? And I should have said this in the last stream too, I'm also reading this guy's chat because they're making arguments just as disingenuous as Jake's. I'll try saying that 3 times fast.
Right? But the feds still killed Martin Luther King right after that. Like, what? Like, come on, dude.
Laughing condescendingly is not an argument.
I just don't know how you can just look at this without any historical lens whatsoever and go like,
because we're not living
in
that historical context. You're living in today, 2021. And do I even have to bring up the whole 2016? They were still living in 2016. Because I bring that up specifically because it's a common woke Twitter talking point. It's common among the left to say the right is still living in 2016. Then this guy says, oh, because historical things. Actually, I shouldn't phrase it that way because what was being done to black people, the slavery and the segregation, that was terrible. Still, though, they're trying to suggest or shame white people for things that happened 70 years ago. Millennial Matt asks, how long do you think it'll be before Undoomed brings up select black people who are rich? You know, the reason that conservatives and right-wingers bring that up, Millennial Matt, is because that proves that anyone can get rich in America through the capitalist system that you despise. Alright, let's see what's going on in chat. White privilege is a myth. Also, that outfit is ridiculous.
It's totally fine. No big deal, idiot. Fucking
and he got a super chat, which I guess we'll read in a minute.
Idiot, dude.
Ad hominem. This guy is so aggressive.
And then there's school choice, which is BS because all schools should be of high quality. Yeah, conservatives keep wanting to fund the public schools. Absolutely. 100%.
Wait, he read a comment on his chat. Then there's school choice, which is BS because all schools should be of a high quality, but conservatives keep wanting to defund public schools. It's mainly because of what they teach and why it's false. Or how it's false.
So stupid.
Really?
Yes.
No, I know you looked it up. It's not just that. Property taxes have a lot to do with it, though. There's also, so they, it doesn't have. It's not about funding school budgets. It's about the amount of budget that a school gets based on the property taxes and the property values around the area. And if the property values and the property taxes around the area are high, you will get more federal funding for your public school in the space. It's not that it's a one-to-one. Like I give, $500 in the summertime or $1,000 in the wintertime or whatever for my property taxes or whatever they fucking are. It doesn't mean that all of that money goes to a public school. It means that it determines the amount of funding that you have. And then depending on districting, of course, which has to do a lot with gerrymandering and redlining, then these places are deemed not to need the amount of budget that they need, and a lot of them end up closing down. This is a big problem again in my community. We have several schools that closed down in black communities because there just wasn't the funding there needed to keep them open, even though the population was necessarily high for those areas. Those schools are bigger than the school I went to, but they're more impoverished. In fact, poverty in my city is higher than the national average by about 3 times. And so is food insecurity. It's about 38% or something here, roughly, which the national average is about 13, 14. And so, like, all of these factors play a role. Property taxes are very important to this. It just doesn't manifest in the same exact way. It doesn't mean that they're 100% funded by property taxes. It's not what I mean when I say that. Schools in Baltimore don't even have AC. That's fucking wild.
So, what are some of those advantages? Sometimes they're small, and sometimes they're really big.
No, look at my lips. Big girl.
I'm sorry. Did he just do hashtag BBC there?
Yeah, he did.
He just fucking. Jesus
fucking
Christ,
what?
bro. What a fucking scumbag.
Really big.
Says the one who looked like a smug, says the one who made a smug face 3 or 4 times in this stream. And again ad hominem.
No, look at my lips. Bigger.
And what unit do you use to quantify this? You're not gonna tell us, are you?
Unit?
She's not gonna.
It's a social thing. What do you mean unit? What? You can't like mathematically quantify social interactions, you fucking idiot.
Like, the privilege of always seeing people
Hey,
who look like
actual Jig sounds aggressive because he called him an effing idiot. 4927. 4927. That's when he calls him an idiot. Yeah. And Undoomed was aggressive just because he said dumb F. And you call Undoomed a scumbag.
you in books and movies.
That's a great example of privilege. Absolutely. I didn't bring it up. That's a great example.
What's a great example?
The example of representation is a fantastic.
Oh my god. How is that a fantastic representation? Alright, before I say what I'm gonna say, I'll let him say why.
Example of the different amounts of privilege. His voice is so fucking annoying. He's 100% purposely making it deep. Yep, to compensate for lack of masculinity. Lack of confidence, for sure.
First of all,
He read a chat. I guess that counts as ad hominem too if you read a chat. Or read someone's comment in the chat, because he's basically saying he agrees with them. Yeah, representation. The left says representation matters. Then when they don't get the right representation, or when it's portrayed by someone who doesn't fit the category, Scarlett Johansson, yeah, she was supposed to be a trans character in a role, and she was bullied out of it just because she's not trans. So you say you want representation. Oh, Will Smith, he was also, he also stepped down from a movie role because he wasn't black enough. So you say you want representation, then the minute you get it, or some variation of it, it's not enough.
Well, no one looks like me. Just because a character is white or black or whatever doesn't mean I can empathize any more or less.
Yes, it does.
How
literally
does it?
I mean, this is just sociological. It's just evolutionary. This is an issue that we have to overcome. We literally do have a bigger problem empathizing with people if they look different from us, especially if you're not consciously thinking about empathy and if you haven't.
If they're the main character, no matter what race or gender or religion, you're going to empathize them.
Worked on empathy, right? Like a kid doesn't naturally just empathize with everybody. You naturally empathize more often with people that look like you. This is just
Under CRT, that will no longer be true. Not necessarily. Because the white kids could end up being woke. Still, I wonder what... Oh my god, I know I'm gonna get mocked for this. I wonder what actual Jake thinks of shy kids. Because there are some kids who are shy and won't talk to anyone, and others who are shy and only talk to people they know, regardless of race. Regardless of race or gender or anything. They'll just talk to people that they just know instead of seeking out to meet new people.
it's not it's not even really like debatable. No, you can overcome that obviously, and you can be like, wow, I really empathize with this, and that's fine. But like, that's not really how it works. Yeah, it does. It takes representation, and also it just takes.
Bellum Garden says this MF isn't even listening.
Again,
Actual
from a
Jake
white
isn't
perspective,
listening to.
I've always been represented. I've literally always seen people that look like me in every piece of media, always, forever. I always have. And there's pieces of media now that come out, and I have less interest in them, not because I think they're bad, but because they don't represent me. Like, I don't really identify. I don't know, like the L word that came out a while ago. Like, that was for lesbians, right? And people of the LGBT community. It's not really for me. It's not really my shit. There's young teen stuff. I'm not a young teen. It's nothing to do with my skin color.
Really? Because given everything you just said, I'm sure you'd love to see a movie about lesbians just because of diversity and representation.
Not a young teen. I don't need YA movies.
Is Undoomed incapable? Did Undoomed say he's incapable of empathy? No, that's a straw man.
And that's okay. And then there's stuff that I find that maybe I'm not represented by, but I still find enjoyment out of because of whatever the topic might be, is something of interest to me. Like a fantasy show with lots of people of color in it or something. I don't know. Shadow and Bone is a good example of this, where actually I was actually very genuinely surprised about the series Shadow and Bone. It was actually very fun. Loki's technically pan, but yes.
Undoomed is clearly such a special boy.
I don't know how you have a problem
Loki
with
being bi made me unreasonably
I have
happy.
no problem. Or no idea how you have a problem.
Oh! I actually forgot Inquisitor said this on a Minion stream a couple months back. Something about you shouldn't have the main character's orientation or whatever. Something like that. You shouldn't have that be the selling point in a movie. And people like actual Jake, I guess, was trying to argue that you should, just because of representation.
And secondly, every form of entertainment has every conceivable race in them nowadays. And
nowadays, literally, this just started happening. I did not grow up with
What do you mean this just started happening? How long is nowadays for you, Jake? Because you saying nowadays, then trying to debunk that because you didn't grow up, and you said you grew up in the 90s. How long is nowadays? Because this is just nitpicking to be nitpicky. Because at least when I nitpicked, it was it was used as gotchas.
At all.
Thirdly, there is a whole slew of TV series and movies that are populated solely with black people.
Name a movie from prior to the 2010s that is solely black people and isn't one of the two things? Tragedy porn or a wacky comedy?
So that's not. So nowadays is before 2010s. And why does it matter if they're a wacky porn or a comedy? If they're comedy, then shouldn't that be better? He did say comedy, right?
2010s.
For the 2010s. That
is solely black people and isn't one of the two things.
One of the two things.
Tragedy porn or a wacky comedy?
A wacky comedy, he said. Still, though, didn't you just say representation matters?
How many?
How many? Oh. Smug, you're looking
Not
smug
a lot.
again. And to put into your own words, you are really being aggressive, aren't you, Jake? Jalen Jen, is that her name? Says, I remember American Girl dolls being a huge deal for me being indigenous and for black POC because they had historical BIPOC dolls in a time when most stores just had Barbies. Representation is important. Which is funny that you just posted that when actual Jake is arguing that certain representation is not important.
Dude, a lot of slavery and gang movies and a lot of like Medeas. Blaxploitation is a good example too. Yeah.
Exploitation.
But I would consider blaxploitation.
Nexus Praxis, will Undoomed ever become smart? Vote now. This is basically how his entire chat is.
However you want it. Those three things then. Black trauma is still the main type of genre. I agree with you. Like that 12 Years a Slave shit, where it's like, yeah, it's a good Oscar bait movie, but like, you know,
well,
this is why people like Jordan Peele are just doing a really great job with like, here's a black movie about black stuff, and it's a horror movie, and we're gonna do a black horror movie. The new movie Nope is coming out, which looks intriguing. Like stuff like that. Like
I've only seen non-cis relationships in media recently, and they
Country. I actually
really
didn't really care
aren't
for
represent
Lovecraft Country. I wanted to, but it just went 400 miles an hour. I didn't feel like there was any pacing into it. Into the Spider-Verse was great. Yeah. And these are all post 2010s, right? Like, and we're getting a lot of good stuff post.
Why do they have to specifically be
it's getting better.
pre-2010s for?
But that's the point. Like, we want to make sure that continues to go, because every time these come out, people like Undoomed are like, no, why do they need to have a black person here? Like, Black Panther came out and people lost their fucking minds. Like,
hey, you said the F word. You're being aggressive, Jake.
You should watch a movie that makes fun of blaxploitation films, though. Black Dynamite is one of the best.
How could you tell if they are?
Sort of, I guess, black comedy.
I only ask that because nowadays, I use the terminology that actual Jake hates, because according to him, nowadays means between 30 years ago and now. So I'll just say, recently, is that better, Jake? Recently, parody is hard to distinguish from truth or
just making fun of blaxploitation films is really great. I think it's on HBO right now. Just check it out. It's really fun. You should read Lovecraft Country. The book is really good. And
why does this person keep spamming? I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Which is great. If there's a market for it, go for it.
That might seem like no big deal, but imagine if no one looked like you in your favorite movie.
I wouldn't care. Wouldn't care if nobody looked like me in a movie. What's Jake gonna say?
Why is it reasonable that guy just punched
Would that
that?
make you feel left out or
No,
sad?
it wouldn't make me feel
No,
left out or sad.
but now that you told...
Yeah, we're white. We are white. They're... Oh my
Yeah,
God,
you're
bro.
white. And you raised your voice You're getting aggressive there, Jake.
Buddy, you have always
Stop
been
talking into the
represented. You don't
mic.
understand. How can you not empathize one time with somebody and just be like, what would it be like to never see myself in any media whatsoever? You don't know what it's like at all. I don't know what it's fucking like, but I can hear other people's experiences and be like, hey, I don't like this. And be like, yeah, I think that maybe, yeah, that does sound like it sucks. Like,
All the kids that you
Well,
want that
I remember a dose of Buckley back before he was woke. 7 years ago next month, he posted a video. Something about Apple's diversity. No, it was 7 years ago. It was talking about fat representation. Or the body positivity movement, something like that. Because he was making fun of the song All About That Bass. And in it, he said something that I'll always agree. Because even then, I thought those were really good arguments. Why would you want to see yourself in a commercial or a movie or a TV show? You could just buy a mirror for that. Why would you want to see yourself when you're stuck with yourself 24/7 every day? And then he compared it to something like, what if you bought a product that didn't make you feel any better, or something? That's how marketing works, is that it's targeted to people who want to look or feel better about themselves. He said something like, why wouldn't I want to hear something, or why would I want to buy something that doesn't make me feel good? I'll just use the stuff I got, or the S I got. This guy's a prat. Sorry, the first thing that came to mind is Chris Pratt when you said that. Oh, that rhymes. So, I don't know, there hasn't been a lot of... Chat isn't active. So, I can't say... Because it's only telling me 0 people were watching, so I don't know if Spudgun is still in chat. Because I thought everyone left. And that's why it said 0 people were watching. Because it even said that when you, Keeve and Zalpa were in chat. I don't like StreamYard, or at least I don't like how it's, idiot. I'm here. Well, I'm glad you are, and I hope you're enjoying the stream. Or, hang on, I'll be right back. I'll take about 10 seconds. There we go. I think you're the only one here, though. That's okay. I hope people watch afterwards, though. I really should take a note of everything, that I don't know. Actually, yeah, I should do that. Because I'm pretty sure I could open the transcripts, on my own stream, and then pinpoint to where I say aggressive, where I mock him for being aggressive, since he said that to Undoomed just for saying the F word. And then just clip all the times he's more aggressive than Undoomed is.
responds, I'm sure they want to please you and do it for you.
Or it can be in the people who are usually in charge, like teachers, your parents' boss, and presidents. Those people are usually white.
What is even the point of this?
Who cares if they're white? That should be the question. instead of just saying, oh, your teachers, your parents, your bosses, and the presidents are white. Well, that shouldn't matter. Oh, Buckley also, a dose of Buckley, the video that I was thinking about. Actually, I'll let Jake talk and then say what I was going to say about Buckley.
Argument. You want to have racial quotas for employment?
They already do that.
No.
Know what? You don't want to?
People are literally just saying, hey, isn't it interesting that, you know, most things are white-oriented spaces?
And that's not what it should be. That's not what should be up for discussion. Because skin color should just be... You shouldn't look at skin color. You should notice. That's the whole concept of colorblindness. The thing you said that anti-racism and critical race theory supposedly teaches. That you shouldn't... That's basically my question. Who cares if these people are white? And you're trying to justify that by saying, oh, isn't it interesting that all these people are white? When in reality, you shouldn't concentrate on that at all. Going back to my question, who cares if they're all white? Because skin color, as Scribelight says, skin color should be as... It shouldn't matter the same way eye color doesn't matter or hair color doesn't matter.
Even though the country has more than just white people in it. When I think about it, I can't...
Again, who cares if America is diverse and still... That's basically the argument, is that you shouldn't concentrate on race. Because what that's also trying to imply is they got those positions just because they were white. I mean, I don't care about race. I don't care if the teachers I have are black or white or Latino or Asian. I don't care if my parents or their bosses are white or black or Latino or Asian. And the problem, whenever there's a black Democrat or a female Democrat, it's basically, you can't criticize this person or else you're a sexist and a racist. Because again, I don't care if there's a white president or a black president or Asian president, Hispanic president. So, a dose of Buckley. A dose of Buckley did do a video on diversity. He said, how would a German company look like? Mostly German. How would a Japanese company mostly look like? Mostly Japanese. Because regardless of white, black, Asian, Hispanic, Muslim, all these people are American. And that's how you should see them. Not, oh, there are more people who are white in these. Or, it's basically all arbitrary and anecdotal. Because I'm pretty sure you could go to different parts where there's a higher population of a certain demographic, and you'll see more people in positions who correspond to that demographic that is more popular, or that is more common to see. Spud Gun says, these idiots or what these idiots don't seem to realize is by constantly banging on about racism, it turns people racist. Basically, that is what Jack Cochran has said plenty of times in Monkey in the Morning. And I already forget. No, it's not Words of the Night. That's what he said a lot in Monkey in the Morning, that they keep talking about this boogeyman that's racism, when in reality they're only going to create the boogeyman that they keep warning about.
I can't really remember a ton of movies that have POC main character that aren't Will Smith. Yeah, I mean, in there's this phenomenon that happens. We were actually talking about this last night, Sarah and I. Why Lil Nas X really bothers a lot of people, which I think is great.
He doesn't bother people, and of course you think it's great because you're a pseudo-revolutionist. Because that was the 5th time you were smug in this stream. You're a pseudo-revolutionist. He doesn't bother a lot of people. And since anecdotes supposedly, since Jake uses anecdotes to say that's how it is, my anecdote for Lil Nas X is that I don't see anyone triggered by what he does. Therefore, no one gets triggered by what he does. But seriously though, I see more people complaining about it than people who actually complain about Lil Nas X. Because he's very successful and he's pretty much saying, oh, I'm a poor victim, pity me. Or I'm a poor victim because of my race and sexual orientation, pity me. And people just buy into that. He's not really a victim, he's just projecting that he is. To me, that's what's the irritating part. To other people, or to the people who are said to be bothered by him, I don't know.
There is the phenomenon of a black person being accessible in media, and I know you know what I'm talking about. Will Smith is one of them. Like Idris Elba, sort of Morgan Freeman. Not always the darkest skinned people. Dark skinned black people definitely have a little bit less good of a time.
Are you shifting the goalposts?
Is like this, but you know, a white person might say, "Oh, they're well spoken," because they'll have like a sort of a little bit of a white diction, but it's not too much.
That's what. Well, I haven't seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. According to Ranting Monkey, though, that is what was said in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That one black guy asked another black guy, "Why are you acting white?" or "Why are you dressing white?" Or I think it was, "Why are you acting white?" Because the black guy wore nice clothes and he was talking academically, I think. I'll have to ask Ranting Monkey. Still though, that is the 6th time you were being smug.
Will Smith gets to say some funny stuff, you know, oh, you motherfucker, and then we get to go, oh, I'm woke, and something like that. But Lil Nas X is a really great example of someone that just goes against all of that, because obviously he's gay. He is a rapper, and so white people don't fucking, you know, our generations and younger really do, but like people like Undoomed don't like this shit. He's openly.
He's projecting that people like Undoomed won't like it, assumably just because of the whole black and gay 7th time we're smug. Or I don't even know if I should count that as 7th, because he's using this whole example. So such a. I keep using the word smug.
Big, and he's dark skinned. Not to mention like tattoos and stuff, but
condescending. I could use
like people like Undoomed don't like this shit.
Just smiling as he says it. You're such a condescending.
He's openly like not religious, big, and he's dark skinned. Not to mention like tattoos and stuff, but And he doesn't like try to, you know, be marketable. He just is who he is, which makes him
No, he
marketable.
is trying to be marketable. He's trying to be marketable because he's saying, "Oh, look, I'm this black gay rapper." Oh, Spider-Man put something in chat. That was Keraton. He was trying to Keratin? He was trying to get in a fraternity, and the leader of it was like this big black power activist, and he cut him down because he was well spoken and all that. Yeah, I haven't watched the show. I know a lot of people have, and the show just never interested me. So, wait, is the dude, or is the character that you just mentioned, is he the friend of. I don't even know Will Smith's character's name. I actually don't know.
Which is really cool. And so I really respect it, even if I don't really fuck with his music as much. It is good, but it's like it's not my thing. But like it's so wild that like you can if you just like pay attention to this shit, you just look at it. You know what I mean? And go like, wow, that's a wild one. Hey, I see a few insecure little babies in my chat right now. Are you guys okay? You guys doing okay?
Insecure how?
It's not just skin, but the culture. Absolutely, of course. There's babies here. Yeah, look at these little babies. They don't look a little sad. Yeah, good time, man. Anyway, I just think it's funny that people like Lil Nas are like kind of turning that on its head and making these kinds of people like uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
That is another word that these wokeists love to use. Uncomfortable. I really hate that word. I mean, I hated it because a lot of people mispronounced it. Now I hate it because woke people love to use that term. They just use it as a gotcha. He's Will's cousin on the show. Oh. Yeah, that word is annoying. I don't use it. I just don't personally use it. It sucks as a term. Plus, going back to what I said earlier, I don't see people uncomfortable from what Lil Nas X does. Therefore, it doesn't happen. I want to talk about personal anecdotes defining the reality.
In case you have forgotten, 5 years ago we had a black president.
Wow, fucking racism defeated, bro.
That's not what he was saying. He was specifically responding to, there's a lot of white teachers and white parents and white bosses and white presidents. That's why he mentioned the whole Obama being the first black president. And unlike you, even if I had a face cam on, I wouldn't be smug. Because I'm just explaining to you what the interpretation is. Instead of saying, this is the interpretation, loser. Still, though, this is one of your tactics. As you presented earlier, you're jumping around the argument.
Black president. You know who else was accessible? Barack fucking Obama, dude. Are you kidding me? Jesus fucking Christ. I'll have you know I voted for Barack Obama 0 times.
Served 2 terms, actually. And right now we have a black vice president.
Wow.
Sure seems like you could do just about anything if you put your mind to it, doesn't it?
That's the whole point about this whole race issue. And that's what I said earlier, is that black people are able to, or anyone can succeed in America. Whether you're black, Asian, Latino, you can succeed. I'm gonna listen to the rest of this later. This dude annoys me no end. He's an effing clown. In fact, he's the whole effing circus. Wait, are you gonna leave just because of him? No, what's funny is that I was gonna go, I was just gonna go for about 10 more minutes anyway. It's already, oops, I didn't mean to do that. It's already past the time that I usually go. Actually, my last streams, I think they were all an hour and a half. Yeah, they all have been. Yeah, I'll go for another 10 minutes. Because I want to at least get past the first hour.
Wow, man. Wow, I have watched the new video. Yeah.
This is probably something you've never really thought about.
It's a good thing to not be
Yeah, it's... I was just gonna say... right as I paused it, I was gonna say what Undoomed just said, basically.
constantly thinking about race.
But don't
Who's constantly thinking about it? I'm certainly not.
You just... You said, who's constantly thinking about race? And I said, you, as an answer. And then when he said, I'm not, that's why I said. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. And in this hour, you said that black people didn't have constitutional rights until 1968. You said that the wealth generation gap, the generation, however you described it, benefits white people. That white people benefited from their parents when those parents were alive in Jim Crow, even though you said you grew up poor, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of the generation wealth gap, especially since you were trying to say that your personal anecdotes are how the system works. You also said representation matters. You said to name a movie that has black people in it that's not a tragic or a tragedy porn or some wacky comedy. And now, hang on, I actually want to go back 10 seconds just because I want to make sure I heard it right. No, actually, I don't even have to go back 10 seconds because you said who's constantly thinking about race. And you basically prove that you do think a lot about race because you mentioned all these different arbitrary, what's the word for non-important? I guess I could just say arbitrary. Yeah, these arbitrary things that don't matter in the long run. Alright, Spudgun. Check, he's annoying. Just his takes are effing awful. I watched the last 10 minutes with you. Well, actually, it's not even going to be 10 minutes of this. I just want to get past the hour mark. So, yeah, I want to hit at least an hour and a half of the stream, since we're already close to there. And see if anyone else joins at the last minute. Generational wealth gap. Is that what he said?
this is probably something you've never really thought about.
It's a good thing to not be constantly thinking about race.
But don't
Who's constantly thinking about it? I'm certainly not.
I'm certainly not. So not only did he deny it, he was affirmative of his denial.
Bro. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, you swore, isn't that being aggressive?
you often wonder why those people are often white and not another color?
No.
I don't care if they're not white. I don't care if they're another color. I don't care if they are white. Good for them.
Because I assume that people are hired based on merit.
White privilege could also
They should
mean things
be.
you don't have to worry about, that people of color do. Like
What?
feeling unsafe when you walk past a police officer.
That is a false narrative. Ah, and I'm gonna get an ad in 2 seconds. You know what? I think now's a good oh, wait. Oh, I thought I got a new comment. It's gonna an ad. I hate Uh, First time past the ad. And a huge amount of people weren't outraged that he's black, right? Oh wait, no, they weren't. People didn't care that Obama was black. You made it that they didn't like him because he was black. You basically said that Obama couldn't be criticized because he was black. So wait, what's this person's? Oh, I still can't tell if that's a 6 or an 8 or a 0. I want to say that's a capital O or a 0, and a huge amount of people weren't outraged that he's black. No, because if they were, that's all you. I mean, that's still all you hear about now. People didn't like Obama just because they didn't think he was good at being president. They said that he had the scandals that the media ignores. Nobody cares that him being black was not part of their criticism. That was all on you. That is based on a straw man. Jalen Jen says, yeah, that's called liberal performativity. Structural racism still exists even if black lady worked for president now. And there's so putting parentheses, black lady work for president now is the equivalent of saying when you're getting roasted and you can't think of a comeback, so all you can do is mock their laugh. Why so dankness, says conservatives vote roundaboutly. Right wingers are the ones constantly talking about. No, that is Royal Ray 3000 because of people like Actual Jake who supports critical race theory. Which, by the way, that is something else that I forgot to mention. Actual Jake was trying to justify critical race theory, which is also contradictory to him saying that he certainly doesn't think about race all the time. Just mute it and I'll watch. No, it's just I didn't want to watch the ad. Oh yeah, I skipped it. It's just it interrupts the video. And when people were worried if he was going to be a good president. People were. That's the thing, is that if there's a president who goes against your political leanings, you're always worried if they're going to be a good president or not. And some just hope for the worst, just because it's the opposite side. And yes, both the left and the right do this every election, whenever the side against them wins. And coming from Chicago. Alright, so let's listen to what he says about race, or the cops, or the police.
So he just said, did you catch that?
Catch what?
He used a clip to say it. Some of you are seeing this.
It's funny when he asks, did he catch that? Because that's what I tried to do in your, that's what I tried to do throughout this stream in the past 24 minutes. Because I caught how you phrase certain things, Jake, like how you said, when talking to Undoomed, you said you enslaved people. I don't even remember what he said. Let's just continue.
Said black people feel uncomfortable walking past a police officer.
Uncomfortable. Use that term again. Putting the word in the lady's mouth.
That's what you get for dicking around. What?
So I haven't seen the video myself. I am sure that Undoomed means that the ones who are being portrayed in the media, like Jacob Blake, because Jacob Blake, that was all on him. I'm sure that's what he means. I mean, I wouldn't have used that clip myself. Still though. And I'm also sure that Undoomed will say that police aren't inherently racist and that they kill anyone regardless of race.
What?
Beery Nerdy 17, wow, unironically saying we can't be racist anymore because of Obama. That's a straw man. No one's saying that.
How do you not think that's fucking racist, dude? This fucking guy.
Well, the whole thing about police officer, he was using a clip in response to a straw man. And you being you, I know you would have taken a straw man seriously, would automatically believe in the irrational fear of minorities constantly being told that they should be scared of police.
He's such a fucking loser, dude.
Hey, you're being aggressive there. You swore you're being aggressive, right?
What? How do you not
Actually,
think that's fucking racist, dude?
I think that's a
This
good
fucking
stopping
guy.
point. Trying to make sure if there are other dumb comments from the chat. Yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. I would have loved if more people were to watch this stream. I mean, I know some of you shared it, and I appreciate that. Or I specifically know that Keeve shared it. But yeah, now I yeah, I basically agree that he's annoying overall, since he keeps changing the argument and strawmanning, and now or using personal anecdotes to say that that's how society works. And now he's basically lying or contradicting himself, since he said that he doesn't think about race, even though he proved that he did. Alright, I've been going on for way too long. Minions of the Zoo is currently live. Thanks everyone for watching. I will see you guys on the next stream whenever